And I just have come to the conclusion that nothing's missing, nothing's lacking, nothing's broken within us.
Mm.
So we have to operate from a place of abundance that we already are, not something that we have to get to. And that's a part of my
Wow.
own journey from dealing with so much insecurity and just believing the lies of the world.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Bare and Brutal podcast, the podcast where we bare our feelings and are brutally honest. Each week, we get the honor of hearing from incredible members and allies of the BIPOC community who share their stories of resilience, of failure, of transformation, and just very real firsthand accounts of exactly what it means to be human. I'm your host, Michelle, and thank you for tuning in. We're glad you're here. Today, we're joined by Christian Johnson, the host of the Elevated podcast and a coach dedicated to helping people release their limiting beliefs, unlocking their full potential, all the good things. And through his platform, Christian shares his personal journey, his own testimony, and just the insights that he's gained along the way of life, empowering others to elevate their mindset and their lives. We are so excited to dive deep into your story and explore the transformative power of mindset work. So thank you so much for joining us today, Christian.
Thank you for having me, and to the whole Bear and Brutal family. I am excited to be here. This is amazing, amazing, amazing. And before we get started, can I just give you a special thanks? I want to say thank you because whether you realize it or not, the very first time that we had a conversation, we shared a lot. And I know we're Bare and Brutal, so they don't need to be all in our conversation. That was off camera. But with this particular one, you spoke something along your journey that really touched my heart and mind. And that was how you took a break during a period in time from your own podcast. And I'll be honest with you, that was hard for me to come to that mindset. But I realized that through the month of August, I needed that break. I felt
Yeah.
like something was ending in one chapter in my life and also ending in the Elevated podcast, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So right now, as we're recording this, there has not been any podcasts being released. There's just been some
Wow.
inner work here and some inner work that's been going on in community and different things like that. So thank you so much for being you, and even your pause, even going through your process, your journey is still being an example for many of us. So thank you.
Gosh, I don't think you truly understand how that makes me feel. I'm actually in my own journey of feeling like I need to take a pause in my life and do some inner work. And so the fact that you took away what you did from our last conversation and put yourself first in that way is amazing. So really, that really touches my heart and makes me feel like, man, I guess I'm doing something right. So
Absolutely.
hey, I know that we had our call, but I'd love it. Like you said, these people weren't in the call with us. They weren't sitting within on us. So I'd love if you could share, Christian, how you just started going into coaching and doing what you do now. How did you get into just this mindset work and the Elevate It podcast? I know that's a loaded question, but can
It
you
is.
outline your journey and your background?
Sure, absolutely. First off, thank you for that question. So yes, I am the owner, entrepreneur pertaining to purpose-built life coaching. And that's the whole umbrella of what the Elevated podcast falls under. And so to be honest with you, it was kind of like one of those gifts I didn't realize was a gift. I don't know if you've ever been there where you start like lusting after other people's gifts. You're like, oh, that person's
Yeah.
brilliant at this. That person could not. Look, my wife, she's amazing in all that she does. Like she touches it is gold. I'm like, okay, what's going on? But she would realize that during times like people would call me and they would tell me their situations, their problems, and they would receive what I'm saying, and then they would get a breakthrough, and that would be amazing, right? And so I was like, all right, let me go ahead and see about this. I had gone to college pertaining to counseling and different things like that, and that was
Mm.
great. Good, I have a counseling degree. I didn't want to necessarily be a therapist per se, but I loved the area once I started understanding about life coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I am also a minister and different things like that. So I knew how to speak But my wife one day said, listen, this information you're getting, people are taking it and they're thriving in lives. I literally would release a strategy. Somebody would apply it. And I remember getting a call, like somebody saying, look, thank you for the information. I just got a $40,000 contract and I was
Wow.
like, okay, I might
Wow.
need to, I might, I might need to think about monetizing this thing right here or whatever. So we started with marriage ministry and marriage coaching, where my wife and I both did that together. Then I just had just a real huge tug in my heart for the emerging leader, and that's who I
Mm,
speak to even now. And I mean by that emerging leader, because a lot of we're all unfolding, we're all developing, we're all being whoever you call it, God, source, divine, whatever you want to call the name. We're all unfolding, and so the Elevate It podcast, that it is your inner tugging. And that's what I identify, that everybody has that inner tugging. And so I want you to go for it. Go for that it. And the other part of that is abundance is our reality. And I just have come to the conclusion that nothing's missing, nothing's lacking, nothing's broken within us.
mm,
So we have to operate from a place of abundance that we already are, not something that we have to get to. And that's a part of my
wow.
own journey from dealing with so much insecurity and just believing the lies of the world or the lies of a culture and different things like that. So
Wow.
hopefully that gives you a little insight on my direction.
Yes, and I have so many questions just off of that. I I'm so curious. I mean, you said yourself this is your own journey and process of finding that confidence and not choosing to not believe in these lies that you are not enough, that you are not sufficient as you are. How do you even arrive at that? How do you drown out the noise of that's going on in your own mind from your own limiting beliefs, but also from external beliefs? How does one even get there?
Amazing question, the $1 million question, right? Maybe I should start my charging meter. No, I'm joking. Listen, so really, and I'm gonna give you a simple overview pertaining to it, and then we can go as deep as you would like to. Okay, so a lot of prayer, meditation, therapy, medicine, and an amazing support team. Okay, so that's the overall picture of the scope
That's
for
the
what you
recipe.
see. For what you see right here. Now, how we mix that thing together, that's different. As I shared with you, I think off camera, I had dealt with severe anxiety.
Mhm,
Okay. And so I had a lot of anxiety. Again, I could speak, I could teach, I can do all these things, but it was more of I'm an ambivert. So I'm an extrovert and also an introvert. Like
mhm,
people will give me power, but they also can drain me. But I found myself at a position in a place where I was just performing in a sense, like doing things because it's what I thought you liked. So Michelle,
mm,
you like the energetic Christian, so I'm gonna give you the energetic Christian. But behind the scenes, it would just drain me so much because I felt like it was an area of performance pertaining to that.
mhm,
So the anxiety was there. Then I would go through seasons of depression and didn't realize I had emotional PTSD from some different things of going up. So I can remember at this point in time, I never wanted to be reliant on medication. And
mm,
I fought my doctor. I was like, no, that means like something's wrong with you or whatever, this and that. And I go to counseling, I have therapy, and I have all this stuff, and I'm a minister, I pray, I do all these wonderful things. And she looked at
yeah.
me and she said this. She said, Christian, if I was your client, what would you tell me to do? And I said, take the medicine. So she
Wow.
said, why are you fighting me? And so even to this day, I have anxiety and depression medication that I'm on. I'm actively in therapy. And continuing just so it's a combination of that. I meditate every day, and throughout the day, depending on that. But it's been a recipe because too much is given, much is required, and it's
Mm.
been that area to pull away. I also have gone through a journey where I think we talked a little bit where I've started to learn God beyond religion,
Can you
and
speak more
so
on that?
yeah, because that hit me as well. Because I started to realize and recognize that there was a lot of judgment in my inner heart that didn't realize was there.
Mhm,
And so I could realize that, okay, I could see this and different things that I'm brought up and different things that I've taught. And I'm just saying, okay, well, if a God is a God that loves according to this level, but these people believe this and these people believe this and this, like what's going on there? What's the common strand? Like what's going on within all these things? And why is this person doing this? I went through this whole situation, even realized some things that I was even teaching wasn't working for me.
Mm.
But because you can, and I'll come back to this, but you can have knowledge of a thing, but not realize that if you fully embodied it, there's a difference between, excuse me, excitement and knowledge.
Mm.
So the excitement, because as you can see my energy, I can be an excited person. But if I'm not fully embodying those things, then I'm just sharing information. But when you hear somebody who has embodied it, somebody who knows and sharing from that area, that's when the universe, that's when God communicates to those things. So our mouths are one part, but the vibration, the energy, the frequency that we have, that's the part that we have to work on. And it's so easy with communicators for us to get something. It sounds good, it may help somebody, and we skip over the inner work of who we are and what
Mm.
we have. So I stripped myself from every aspect of it and went through an area. I said, look, it's just me, you, God. It's me, you, source. It's me, you. And we come from here and realize that area. And I got so much love, so much power, so much affirmation that I am more than enough, that I cooperate with God, the universe, that I'm one with all. And this is stuff I wasn't getting necessarily in seminary or this or that, all
Yeah.
those things. I've heard so much about you're a sinner and you're this and you're that. And, to each his own, no judgment there. But to realize that I am an expression of Christ consciousness, Christ in the earth world. What, Michelle? I've been missing out on so much joy, not externally, but the joy from within. I'll pause.
You hear me saying as you're speaking because I really am resonating so deeply with what you're saying. When did we last talk? Was it 2 months ago? I can't recall.
I don't remember if it
It's
was
been a
it's
minute.
been a little
It's been
bit.
a
Yes.
yeah. So in this time, the Michelle that you are speaking with today, I am in a very unique transition season in my life versus the last time you met with me. Um, I'm also on medication. I also resonate with that, and I think we spoke on it together before previously, where I was like, "Yeah, medication's great for everyone else, but I'm fine. I'm dealing with it." Like I don't
How's
need
that
that.
working for you?
Right. And so once I got on that, man, did it did it change my life. I was like, wow, that's what that feels like. This is what it feels like to function in this world. But I'm on medication. I'm actually taking the step to find another therapist, a new therapist. I took a break from therapy back in like 2019. Was afraid to go back because it's just a whole process, like having to tell your whole story to someone and do the work. And I was like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And now I am in the process of, I had to come and reflect with myself and say, okay, yes, we're we're going through life and we're better than where we were, but am I living my life or am I just surviving right now?
Michelle, you better preach.
So I had to take a hard look and say, I am, like you said, I'm communicating this image of myself. And I was saying that I embody these things, that I'm bare and brutal, and that I lead with vulnerability and connection, so on. But behind the screens, I was over here struggling. And I have a lot of inner work that I was like, that's too scary. I'm not ready for that. I don't even want to touch that. But I feel as though if I'm in this part of my life where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to take on that step, because I feel if I don't, I'm not sure that I think I would just be here, the same Michelle, and that's not what I don't want to be here 3 months, 5 months down the road and say, "Oh, nothing has changed."
Yeah.
Um so I say this because I think that part of me coming back to or searching for growth is also diving into my spirituality and like thoughts on religion, my relationship with God. I feel like it's always been very complicated trying to figure things out for myself. But just hearing, like, I think I needed to be here today. I mean, we had our appointment, so I had no choice, but I needed to be here today to hear what you're saying. I just thank you. And I'm curious, like, what that process was like for you coming to that realization. Coming to that realization, like you said, you didn't learn these things in seminary or in church. How did you make that realization? How did you come to that relationship that is you and God? You know, I mean, those listening, obviously, respect whatever your beliefs are, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's for everybody. Again, just because. Anyway, I'll get right to that. I cannot let this go, though. There's no way that I can sit here and not celebrate the fact that you have said I now took the steps so that I can operate and be the best that I can be. So I salute you. I celebrate you, and I think all of us in the Bare and Brutal community should go ahead and salute because that's humility. That's leadership at its finest. To realize and
Thank you.
recognize. Matter of fact, I had somebody, and I was in a leadership conference at some point in time, and he said, "You're selfish." And I said, "Wait a minute." It's a whole lot of leaders here. And they said, "Wait a minute, you're selfish." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're so selfish that you rather rob the people that you serve from your 100% because you won't take the time out to get your inner work, your strength, so forth and so on." So it hit me in a different level that how can I serve? How can I lead, speak all over
Wow.
the world? How can I have a podcast and I am not fully embodying and be giving you the best that I can be? Before we got on this podcast, I'm meditating. I'm doing what I need to do to make sure that I am a clear vessel, channel, whatever you want to call. So whatever Christ consciousness wants to come through and speak a word, that's what it needs to be. So that's from our inner work, from the inside out. So I have to celebrate you for that. So this season is going to be amazing, even through your journey as you're moving forward, because there's a difference in where we are. Our whole generation. Like we love information, but something about somebody who's been there understands it's going to be real dope, be transparent with it. It's a whole different world. We want somebody who is
Yes.
authentic, and that's where you are. So I celebrate you. I can't help it. It's the coach in me. So
Thank you. Thank you.
absolutely. All right. But back to your question to the right. That was a commercial brought to you by our sponsor, the Elevated Podcast. So now we are back, and ask me the question again.
So, your journey, okay, let me
Me and
backtrack.
God.
Let me give you
Me and
some
God.
context. So, I recently went to a networking event and connected with amazing, amazing people. There's particularly one woman I connected with. Her name's Danielle. And Danielle, if you're listening, thank you for our connection. Hello. Yes.
Hey, Danielle.
And Danielle is actually in the process of creating her nonprofit called Black Mental Avenue. And she's telling me how she grew up as a church kid. Her dad was a minister as well, pastor, and growing up in going to a Black church, they're telling her, oh, you're depressed, you're anxious, go pray about it. And so that is really you're laughing,
You about to get
but
me in trouble. Okay,
no.
I see where we're going. I see where we're going. Okay.
Because she was telling me, she's like, this is why I'm creating this, because that's kind of the mentality that happens. I grew up with a lot of religions around me too, but it was in the same sense. It's like, what do you have to be depressed about? Let's go pray about this. Let's go do this. You're okay. You're okay. We don't need to cry. We don't need to acknowledge that these bad things are happening or whatever, these thoughts. And so I think that's what has led me astray from my own personal journey with religion and God, is that I didn't feel a kind of connection there. I felt like it was very performative, that uh that I didn't have this, like how they're saying you're supposed to have a relationship with God. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what that means. And so when you were saying how you came to these realizations and how you realize it is just you and God, I'm curious, like, how did you get to that? Do you resonate with anything I'm saying here, my own
Yeah, you're saying a
experience?
million things. I got to slow you down because I want to
Yes.
hit on a ton of those things. And if I miss it because I start to flow, pull me back at any given time. This is your
Okay.
podcast, not mine. Okay. So Um, yeah, so let's go with the area of the prayer part. I've identified that. I've heard that. Just like I believe you said Danielle, is her
Mm-hmm.
name, and said. So I heard that. I was in a conference as well, and they were like, "Yes, we don't need therapists. We don't need all that. All you need to do is pray, pray, pray." And I said, "Look, that's fine, but let's look at this at because I sit from an area of not judgment." So if
Mm-hmm.
that's what you feel, I believe that the universe that God gives you, what it is, the universe does not respond; it corresponds, and so it's your
Mm,
faith. It be unto you. So if you believe that you only need prayer and that's what that is and that's going to work from you or whatever, you can go ahead and sit with that situation and come from there. However, if I'm believing that God works through people, which I do, right, because it's an area of oneness, then why can't it work through a therapist?
mm,
Why can't it work through a counselor? Why can't it work through a podcast? Well, if
mm,
any form, whatever you want to look at scripturally pertaining to the Bhagavad Gita or any ancient text, or if you want to look at the area of the Bible or whatever the case may be, you always have an image, a person that has a Christ consciousness aspect to it. Even in Christianity, Jesus, the Christ, we look at the area that his name was actually Yeshua ben Joseph. But Jesus, the Christ, we get focused on just the person of Jesus, but not the Christ that it carries that we all have access to. So, with that being said, like when I'm looking at Michelle, it's not just Michelle. When you said I connect and I resonate, Michelle, that's divine communicating to divine. That's
mm,
a unity. That's a frequency. That's a vibration in the world, and that's a connection from God within that I can't deny. And so when
yeah.
it comes to those areas, that true relationship, just like we're talking here, I'll talk to God, and my prayers have shifted. I don't pray from lack. I'm not judging anybody, but I don't come to God begging, "Oh God, can you do that?" That's just not my posture. I've come to awareness of affirmative prayer. So
Mm,
I pray the solution. So my prayers come by I pray the answer because I'm co-operating with God, one with God
mm.
as Christ's expression, as an area of empowerment, wanting to be used to co-operate with the universe, with God, with source, with life, presence, whatever. Did I answer some of your questions?
Yes. Yes. So hearing what your response was, it seems that this is the base in all things that you do in your coaching, in the podcast. Tell me, I mean, the theme of this is about limiting beliefs, right?
Let's go there.
And so we're gonna go there.
Let's go there.
I need to go there.
Let's go there.
Selfishly, I want to go there.
No,
So
no worries.
many people struggle with limiting beliefs, myself,
Mhm.
without even realizing it. And
Yeah.
I feel that it controls a lot of our decisions in our lives. For me specifically, I'll speak for me. I feel like I find myself doing things and I'm like, why did I make that decision? Like, for example, initially, right now I'm in the process of acquiring a business with my boyfriend. We're jumping into entrepreneurship, and initially I had told him, "Yeah, that sounds great for you. Like, I don't know if I want to do that. I really want security. I want to know when I'm going to get my check, that kind of thing." And
Yeah.
I just didn't view myself as a risk taker. I didn't view myself as a businesswoman or an entrepreneur. And I sat with that. I'm like, "Why do I not think that I can't do
Mm.
this? Why do I think I'm
Mm.
not deserving or able
Ooh.
to be in entrepreneurship or dream this big or go after seek after these big goals?" And so I guess my question, or maybe you can just respond with what I just said, but how do you help someone identify those beliefs? Because I think I am a self-aware person. I reflect a lot, but I think that's the first very, very big step. So how does someone even begin to identify that they have limiting beliefs?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I realized what wasn't working.
Mm, yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So for me, I'll be honest with you. For me, it was more so for a while. It was money and
Mm,
wealth, and and I was just like, what's my limiting beliefs around this? Like, I don't believe you have to grind. All right, I believe you can attract
mhm.
pertaining to that. However, because my story had, here we go. What story are you telling? Right? Make sure you're telling a good story. The story of money has been told. We buy into that area. We realize that there's universal laws pertaining to the law of relativity that talks about like a word is a word, Michelle, until we give it meaning. And
Mm.
so if you look at money and you say it's only green and it's hard to get, again, coming to that area of faith, universe says, okay, I correspond, I work with you, what you think and what you believe
Mhm.
about yourself. So it's not that the universe is good or bad or anything like that. It's just I'm giving you what you're believing. So if you're believing you can't be a great entrepreneur, you believe it's a struggle, you believe you're always attacked by the enemy, you're believing all these situations and things that I must have bad luck and all these things, it
Mhm.
connects with those thoughts, those beliefs, those feeling tones, those actions, that inspired action, and then that's what shows up and manifests for us. So when I sit there and I identify, okay, Christian, that if the law of correspondence talks about that area, if this is true on this side, right? No, sorry, law of polarity. If this is true on this side, then that means it also can be true on this side as well.
Mhm.
So if I can work and get wealth, then I also can chill and also get wealth as well.
Mhm.
So once I realized it, I had to come to an area of dealing with my articulation, my thoughts, my words, my feeling tone around that, and my actions all had to align with the imagery, the image of what is being seen, and really convincing myself and believing from that place that it is so, that that's what it is. And I do a lot of affirmations.
Mm.
So that's a part of the area of the journey, even for me. So when you're saying, you said something like somewhere along the lines of, I wanted to write it down. That's where it is. I dropped my notebook. You said something about, I believe, you viewed it that your boyfriend or somebody would be a entrepreneur, but you didn't see it in yourself.
Right.
So what's the limiting belief there?
That I'm not good enough to be an entrepreneur.
And where does that come from?
Ooh, me feeling like I'm not good enough? I don't know. I don't know how to I think, maybe okay, no, I do know. So, with entrepreneurship, I view that as risk-taking.
Hmm.
I think to be in entrepreneurship, you need to have a certain level of comfort with risk, and I am not comfortable with that. I'm constantly chasing security, and to me, entrepreneurship didn't feel like security. Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with security, right?
Mhm.
At all. That's fine. And that's great. So looking at that, the area of the limiting beliefs, I wrote it down. You said, I view, and you talked about the area of risk, and you said, and I feel like I'm not a risk taker.
Yeah.
So that's an area for you. Now, if you want to believe that, that's fine. That's the thing. That's what I love about the universe. It's no condemnation whatsoever. It's not a wrong thing. But when I'm listening to you, it seems as though there is something inside on the entrepreneurial side that actually wants to come out. So is this ego speaking? Is this fear speaking?
Mm.
Is this from where? What is this that's saying that I'm not? Because I believe that there's not going to nothing. I'm going to struggle. I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to make whatever those things are. All
Mhm.
that's the limiting beliefs. When we realize that, okay, how many days in your entire life has you gone without eating?
None.
Okay, so you've been good with that. What about clothes?
I got close.
Okay, clothes, right? Shelter over your head.
Yeah.
You okay? Maybe not preference of what you necessarily wanted, but
Yeah.
so you've been good, right? So all of
Yes.
these days you've been good, right? So
Mhm.
finances, like, so let's just guess between like your first job and like now, just roughly throw out there, how much money do you think your hands have touched?
Well,
Just throw
I don't
something out there.
50,000.
50,000, probably more than that, right? I'm guessing from
Okay.
all that, right?
Yeah.
So then maybe it wasn't the amount that you had wanted, but so money has been there, right? So then
Mhm.
there's nothing missing, there's nothing lacking, there's nothing broken. So that lets us know the universe has already provided. That means
Mm.
that you've already, and whatever the roughest situation is, here it is, you've gotten through it,
Mm. See, but that's what it is the fear going back to the roughest situation.
which is past.
Mhm.
And we take the past and we take that and we marry that and we dream about that and we do that, but that's gone. All we have is the present. Like that's that part that's that fear, false evidence that appears real.
Mm.
Like if it happened then, don't mean that it has to happen that same way. Like you said, we talked 2 months ago. I'm not the same person that I am because when your belief changes, if you say, you know what, this is not that. If you just go there, if that's your affirmation, every time the voice comes up and says, well, you know what, Michelle, you know, this is this, whatever, but this isn't that.
Mm,
And even if that this happened, that tried to come back around again, I'm strong enough to deal with it. And that's what I would love for you to even put in your area to write that down. Like, I'm strong enough to deal with this. Like,
wow.
I'm strong enough to go to therapy. I'm strong enough to come to this area in this place. I'm strong enough to have this podcast. I'm strong enough to do these things. Like, I have this. This is easy. It's within me because you're not by yourself. You have a community and you have the divine within that has been leading you all along.
Yeah.
So you're an amazing entrepreneur, right?
Wow. Yes.
Okay. And you said you have a life partner that's willing to do it with you?
Yes.
What are we talking about here? So from this day forward, I want you to change your language.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And when it comes up, just talk that thing through and believe that. Sit with your mindset and say, you know what? What's that affirmation? So you should say, I'm not a risk taker. I'm not afraid of risk. Or you can come from that positive side of there and say, risk are easy. Or is there, it isn't a risk. What is the risk when it comes to those things? So however you want to go ahead and do that vibration that you agree with, you can even go to a form of a different way of that. I'm going to send you a video off screen that is like a little something that would like it'll charge you up. All right. If you want to
Yeah.
share it with your community, you can do it. But for you personally, I'm gonna send you something that's gonna light you up.
Awesome. So I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that I think my place in life right now is significantly more solid than was in the past, right? So the reason I bring this up is because I think that I'm fortunate to be in a place in my life where I can acknowledge, hey, there's these things that are happening right now. It's really affecting my life, and I'm going to make the decision to do something about it. But I think there are people or myself in a point of time where I was just focused on the next minute. And I was focused on surviving. And there was no capacity for me to address the self-actualization or whatever it is because I had
Mm-hmm.
these basic needs weren't met, right? And so I
Mm.
guess this is maybe for someone listening who might be in a place like that, who is in the deepest parts of their depression, struggling. How do you call yourself out of a place
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. Well, first, let me say I am not a licensed therapist. And so, whatever information that I am sharing now, take it to your personal or your professional and go through there. However, I'm sharing some things for the educational purposes and hopefully that your vibration connects with it to go ahead and move forward within that. However, to answer your question, you said that they were focusing on the area potentially of dealing with like just surviving. So I would ask them to imagine what it looks like to thrive. Let's start with that, okay? Because I know feelings are feelings, but that doesn't mean that feelings are truth.
Mm,
But they're feelings. We have feelings.
mm-hmm,
We aren't our feelings. We have experiences. Our body has experiences, right? So there's somebody beyond this skin, these wonderful locks, and everything else, and that's being, right? We're human beings, not
mm-hmm,
human doings. And so beyond there is somebody that's not broken, not missing, not lacking, that wants to connect and move forward. And so even if I'm experiencing pain or experiencing depression or experiencing these things, that's okay. We can have those feelings and let them pass through. I think subconsciously what we do is hold on to those stories. And that's
mm,
what that proof is what you said in the past. If we're living in the past, well, this happened, this person cheated on me, this, and this, and this. I've had some stories and some things as well. But I realize we also have the power to change the narration of those
yes.
stories. And so if we can, again, whether it's through therapy, through medicine, through finding somebody else, but come from there and start imagining, again, regardless of your belief, that's not what it's about. I just want to share from my area in the book of Genesis, it talks about how God created the earth. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
But in the area of Genesis, it's saying that he said, let there be light, let there be this. We're living in a life of let there be's. Because, now watch this, because, right, there had to be imagination. Everything, there's nothing that we're looking at in the world that didn't come from imagination. Would you agree?
I agree.
Right? Like, look, the phones that we're looking at, the cameras, the cup. Somebody said, man, if I can do a cup like this, and somebody else said, you're crazy. They'll never drink it. They'll never do this. But they realized that from imagination, through feelings, through thoughts, through words, and having right action, divine right action, that it can be. So we're living through a life of let there be. So from my belief that there is God, universe, source that said, let there be these, we have the same power. So if you're saying to yourself that, and you're imagining it's rough, it's difficult, this is always what my life is going to be, universe says that, agrees with that, and let there be struggle. And
Mm,
so that's what we see, because what we're seeing is a representation, it's a reflection of what's going on the inside.
mm,
So if we don't like what we're seeing, we have the power to believe, to imagine what a thriving life looks like, what a life of not being depressed looks like, and begin to dream again. That's one of my complaints. We both have shared the area of the school system that I had
mm.
because I felt like growing up, it was kids, when they're kids, they want to fly and jump and believe they're superheroes. And the first thing we do is snatch their imagination. We tell
Yes.
them, you can't do this, you can't do that, and all these things. And so now we get to a place where we're older and we're trying to dream again. But for years, we've been programmed that you can't do this. So I want to release that you can.
Mm,
And you will, and you must, if you believe that. So if you're listening and you're watching right now and you're at a place and you're saying, but Christian, you don't know my story. You ain't been through, what I went through. I haven't. I don't judge it. We love you with agape love. And we celebrate you. But if you can come to an awareness and say that I believe that there is better, and you close your eyes and take a sacred breath within, and breathe in life and hold that in your mind and your vibration and your energy, and allow the imagination to show you what it feels like to feel love, or what it feels like to feel honor, or what it feels like to feel joy, or compassion, or relationship, or healing, or whatever it is, and wrap your mind, your feeling, and your thought around that thing, and you begin to open your eyes and realize that even what you see, once you see that it's not there yet, then just continue to move the vehicle. Christian, what's the
yes.
vehicle? The vehicle is when you have the imagination, but your thoughts, words, and actions, when they come into agreement, every time you have those actions, it's the universe starting to bring that thing from the reality of the imagination to reality of what we've seen. Again, this started in somebody's mind. I'm telling you, your success is in your mind. It's a spiritual realm. Your relationship, your new whatever it is, and it's all within you. The kingdom is within you. The king's dominion is within you. You are made in the image and likeness of love, power, encouragement, and growth. And we are tag teaming with you, believing that the best is yet to come. You can have a new story, and you
Mm,
can tell it and believe it. And that's what we wish for you.
wow. That was too good. That was too good. You are just a steward for empowerment. You really, you really are. And I want to take a moment now to talk about the Elevate It podcast. We're gonna reel it back over to that, and I wanna talk about it. I wanna talk more about what you were saying. It is inner tugging.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What has inspired you to start to have this platform, and what impact do you hope to make through it? Because I know you have your coaching.
Yes.
So, podcast, tell me about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yes, the Elevated podcast, it is the inner tugging. For years I had seen creatives, emerging leaders get boxed in, whether it's church, whether it's business, corporate, whatever the case may be. But as you know, as that creative, you just want to create. You just want to do what you feel compelled to do. So I realized, what would it look like to be the actual microphone stand for those with the microphone?
Mm,
What would it look like to be that support arm, or provide this or provide that? And to be honest with you, myself and my wife were in a pastoral season where we're getting ready to, contemplate pastoring and all this other stuff. And I felt like Divine was sharing with me, you can pastor from the podcast. You can share, excuse me, encouragement and love and so forth and so on, because there needs to be a safe space for people to unfold and develop and be who they are, and look at the area of
yes.
divine, and not majoring in the minor. So not all of the things that we're judging, right? And looking at the appearance and what your preference is and all that stuff. Let's get from there and just realize what it is within you that's trying to come forth or is emerging. And so we started with the Elevated podcast, and I went through so many directions because, again, as you, it's a part of my journey. So they get me, and they get me all the
Mm-hmm.
time. They get the great, they get the awesome, they get the time when it appeared to be a struggle. But I started realizing, okay, there's a voice out there of emerging leaders, and that wasn't the age group on it. Because if you look at my what do you call it on YouTube, analytics,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see that a lot of them were primarily male, and it was like between like 34 up even to like 60 that were listening
Wow.
in. So that even opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, this isn't just age specific. There are people who know that there's something on the inside, but the limiting beliefs is the thing that's keeping them from moving forward. If I leave this good paying job when I'm already at six figures, but I really feel like I want to go do this, how is that going to go compute? I got to do this, I got to do that, so forth and so on. So I started bringing on people who
Yeah.
have are emerging leaders, from millionaires to people who have just started, from this and that. It is all, and again, not just one religion or anything like that. We strip all that away and be able to just speak from that area and that posture. And so we did that. I think I did 44 episodes before I took this break.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we are within there. And my heart is so what I did, actually, the Elevated podcast, I did a DBA of Purpose Filled Life Coaching. I don't know how you're functioning for your business. We can talk about that on screen as well. However, so there's a know, like, and trust with what we're doing. Those who are listening and watching right now, if they're tuning in for this 45 minutes, there's a night, like, know, and trust that they have. So even from there, I said, what is the free thing that I offer to keep this circulation thing going of
Mm-hmm.
just giving? I want to give, want to give. And so I started the podcast. And then what happens from there? People want to hear, well, Michelle, what do you got going on? I want to connect with that, so forth and so on. So that's when the coaching can come in. I can
Yeah.
offer coaching from there. I can offer our events. We're getting ready to form Elevated Live. We have a conference that we'll be doing. We're going to be doing Elevation Ships, a cruise, retreat cruise that's
Wow.
coming out. And we just are getting ready to launch. When I took the break, the Divine was sharing with me, do a community. So now, if you haven't checked out, have you checked out School, SKOOL?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On School, we just put Elevation Nation, the community, on there, and we're going to start doing lives,
Wow.
recordings with them, and turn that into the area of the podcast. Because I said there has to be a dynamic of us moving together with it. There's community. I love this, what we're doing, but I really like when somebody can comment, ask a question, talk,
Yes.
so forth and so on. And so there's a community out there that desires what we have. And I said, how can we do it? So then I started. Now, I love, you haven't met my wife yet, unless you watch one of our podcast episodes. Amazing. You should have her on. Anyway, she's going to get me for that one. But so she joins me once a month, and we talk relationships.
Wow.
And so we just went at this thing. If you want this spiritually, you want this physically, mentally, emotionally, like the emerging leader, all that it goes through, we want to provide a safe place for you to unfold, develop, and get to where you're kind of going. And so that's where we are. We operate from a place of abundance
Mm.
and peace, because there's some things that really is on my life. There's a peace and a grace,
Yeah.
empowerment that's on me, and it's contagious. So those who do life, I know, because we're doing this, somebody is empowered, somebody is
Mm-hmm.
encouraged, and to be honest with you too, somebody listening, they're about to make a whole lot of money too, because it's just something on me that comes from an area. When I share, it hits them, and the universe connects with them. So that's a little bit about the Elevate It podcast. So whether you or your community or anybody wants to join in, I can give you links to pertain to Elevation Nation. We're Elevated Podcast on YouTube, Elevated Podcast on social media platforms. I'm Coach Christian Johnson on IG, but we're on every platform, just trying to make a difference of
Yeah.
positivity, oneness, and just vibrating as high as we can go to make a high vibe.
That is amazing. And I think is so needed because as you're describing what Elevated Podcast is and Elevation Nation, what you're creating here is something so dynamic because I think life is dynamic and we have many pieces of the pie, so to speak,
Yes.
right? And I
Yeah.
think a lot of times what I see on social media and these coaching services and whatnot is hyper focusing on one piece of our pie about your success or with your relationship. But I think, especially as emerging leaders or entrepreneurship, especially too, is like we can't just focus on one part of our lives and neglect all the others. And so I think that is so great that you are incorporating all of these things, relationship, your own personal growth, health, wealth, all those things. Because like you said, we are beings and we are dynamic beings that have a lot of different things in our life. And so I love that. I love that so much. So if those of
Thank
you
you.
listening, please make sure that you go and show Christian here some love. It's going to be good for you. I know I will be immediately after this going to join on school.
Thank you.
I, as we wrap up the episode here, though, I do have one last question that has been on my mind as we're talking here. I know you said you took that break in August and you realized there was some reflection and inner work to be done there. How do you yourself continue to challenge yourself to grow and elevate your own mindset while you're helping others? Because I can imagine that there's burnout that can happen there.
Sure.
And how do you tend to others while balancing and making sure you tend to yourself as well?
Yes. So, what I'm going to share with you, I realize when I say this that it's going to sound like people are going to say, well, I can't do that. So, I understand what I'm about to say and the weight of it. I want to tell you that you can, it just might not look like the way that we do. So, because Lanisha and I are both entrepreneurs, we have our own businesses, we have businesses together. I also do some part time work as a director of operations. Just like with school, I have the summer off. Okay. So, Lanisha and I take the month of July off
Mm,
every year, and we don't do any coaching. We don't do any work pertaining to that. And so even from the other jobs, we focus on family. I have twins that are 15. I have a 10-year-old, and we just love on them. We vacation. We do
yeah.
that. Also, Lanisha and I get away every quarter with just her and I.
Hmm.
And so the reason why this comes up is if you drive, I drive a vehicle. The more that you drive, the more you need to fill up.
Mm,
And so I realized personally that yes, I did get burnout and dealing with the depression, anxiety, all those things. I have to have self care. And so again, that whole thing of being selfish and all those things, when it hits. And I've always been a person that I wanted to do self examination. But the more I started teaching and speaking and coaching and speaking out, it was more easier to skip over self because of the demand. And
mm,
so when you realize that, I have a community around me. I have brothers and sisters, spiritual brothers and sisters, and people around me that can say, "Hey, how you doing?" Or "You need to take a break." And they know July, nope, I'm not doing it. They also know that quarterly, me and Lanisha, the kids stay. We can have somebody come here. We're going to get away and get what we need. So that's how we
hmm,
feed ourselves. I am in therapy on a right now a weekly basis.
hmm.
And so that's therapy, and also have coaching as well within that, and training. So it's I have to be what it is that I
Yeah.
want to go ahead and give out. So that hits
Right.
the heart. Did I
Right.
answer that good for you?
Yes, you
Okay.
did.
Okay. All right.
Well, Christian, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible insights.
Uh,
No, I'm like taking notes over
you say it to all
here.
your guests.
I
I'm
know, no,
not.
I do, but it's so real. I'm not lying to you.
You know I'm on that side, so I know. You know.
I'm
Okay.
so serious.
Mhm.
No, really, your work is truly inspiring, and I appreciate the the knowledge and wisdom that you imparted on me today because I really needed to be in this seat right now, speaking with you.
Before you end, I
Um,
have one question,
yes.
and you can answer this very vaguely. But when we
Okay.
did talk, I challenged you.
You did.
Is there any movement on what I challenged you?
Um, yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Cool. We're good. Right back
Let me
to it. Okay.
Christian just wants me to get married, y'all. That's what
I mean, you put it out there, but I'm just saying.
that's what's going on. He wants a ring on the finger like I
Where's
just
bro? Where's bro? I've been trying. I want to meet him. I mean, all those things. I mean, let's get this thing going. It's a whole different world out there. You know. So I mean, if y'all are with me, I mean, let's go. Let's go. Let's get this thing done. I told you I know a dope minister that can get it done for you. Him and his wife, they tag team with it. However you want, just we can get it bare and brutal, and we can just get this thing done. So anyway, all right, you're closing this thing out.
Yes. Just I'm so appreciative for this experience with you. And I'm excited to see what's next for you and the Elevated podcast.
Yes.
And man, I feel energized right now. Before this meeting, I know I was telling you I was so running around, but I just feel very, very energized, and I'm so thankful for this time with you. So, those of you listening, you heard it here. You know what you get, Mr. Christian here. He's a he's a powerhouse, and please go show him some love. All of his things and socials and all the things you want to find him on are going to be in the show notes for us today. Mr. Christian, got anything? Any last words before we end it here?
No, I got to. I'm grateful. I'm pray. You guys are amazing. You're good. And again, whatever you guys need, we want to be a support as well. So, thank you. And just be for some of them. Can they just be selfish a little bit, right? Just be self. That's what I'll leave you with. Be selfish a little bit. Like treat yourself like do the inner work, like just treat and love on yourself a bit. The kids and everybody else, they gonna be good, but you get what you need, because if you see what I see, oh, it's going to be amazing. So let's show up, let's be a little bit selfish, and let's just continue to shake this world for great.
Beautiful. Well, thank you everyone for listening. As always, I will talk to you soon. Bye.